Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from PJ Media. This is dated April 16th. It is entitled, "The Founding Fathers' Fears Are Coming True and the Damage is Intentional." And I pretty much agree with that opening statement. Now, I just skimmed this article, so I haven't really read the whole thing. So we're going to go into it together here. Let's do it. It says, "The Founding Fathers, in all their prescience, wrote the Constitution to protect we the people from the very onslaughts we are seeing today, some 2.5 centuries later." Says Donald Trump represents a clear and present danger to the pinko Americans, those are commies, or people that don't know what the word pinko means, who have infiltrated every institution in the United States, and we can all see how the Constitution somehow doesn't protect this one man. And if you are daft enough to think the chaos will stop once he is jailed or killed, I'd like to sell you my invisible unicorn Dottie, who will paint your house for free. Oh, I'd like an invisible unicorn that'll paint my house. Does need more evidence that our nation is on life support? As our replacements are being invited to cascade over the southern border by politicians who were elected to protect us from such an onslaught. Criminals, many of whom aren't even citizens yet, operate with impunity within our borders. Fentanyl, created by China and sent to the Mexican drug cartels for assembly and distribution, floods over our phantom southern border and kills roughly 80,000 Americans annually while enriching the Chinese and Mexican drug lords, yet nothing changes. Have you wondered why? Worse, the destruction we see taking place in the United States is 100% intentional. Many of our elected leaders like Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell are throwing us under a bus being driven by lizard people like Klaus Schwab. Wouldn't surprise me if that dude was actually a lizard person. He's just clown shoes. Because the communists have been working to destroy the USA from the inside since at least the 1930s, if not earlier. They target the angry, the poor, the various malcontents, including the millions they allow over the border. Angry, black, America-hating Marxists like Fannie Willis, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, and Cori Bush are the result of generations of Marxist ideology being pumped into black communities that were historically mistreated by Democrat institutions like slavery, Jim Crow, and the KKK. Yeah, I didn't know until probably the last few months or so how, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I'm not thinking of it, but like how widespread Marxism was in the black community, which is unfortunate because it's an ideology that isn't going to pick anybody up. It's only going to bring people down. So, I mean, like, I can understand, like, if you have one certain thing, like, this right here, bringing you down, you're probably looking for something to pull you up. But this word right here, that ain't it. It's not going to do anything. So it says, Factorama. Georgia's Fannie Willis, who is one of the 4 tyrants persecuting Trump, is the daughter of a former high-ranking member of the Marxist Black Panthers. That is true. And that dude, in her trial, he was actually put on trial too, and he was just Marxists are stupid. So there you go. It says Marxist district attorneys, well, they are Democrats. I didn't mean to say that, but not exactly a Freudian slip or anything. Marxist district attorneys keep criminals from being arrested, and commie judges release the few who do get busted. Remember, communism requires social chaos and a fearful citizenry to take root. It also needs financial instability. People are easier to control when they are scared and hungry. Now you see why the costs of gas, food, and other necessities are exploding while criminals are allowed to wreak havoc in our nation's big blue cities. Again, it's all intentional. America is under attack from within. So please inform your I can't be bothered friends and family that it's long past time to start paying attention. This is not a drill. It says Factorama. The Communist Party of the United States, or CPUSA, was established in 1919. By the 1930s, communists had massively infiltrated FDR's government. So sadly, our domestic enemies are pros when it comes to the bread and circus approach of keeping us distracted while they reduced the Constitution to toilet paper. George Orwell's book 1984 went from being a harbinger to reality, while we Americans argued over the tough questions, like where the nation's tiny transgender population could tinkle. Now, if you haven't read 1984, highest possible recommendation, if you want to know what society is going to end up like if we let things go on this current trajectory, well, there you go, read 1984. It says, as I type this, the Uniparty wants to extirpate Trump, take your guns, imprison those who oppose their tyranny, and replace those of us who fervently and foolishly believe the Constitution is an absolute bulwark. Our replacements are the illegally imported masses who will pull the donkey lever in a voting booth for generations just to keep their gravy train rolling. It isn't hard to win over people from third-world shithole nations. You and I have come to expect liberties that our replacements have never known and will not miss, much less fight for. I know people who believe Antifa is an organic group that somehow just manages to show up in the exact places where the left needs violence and arson to make their point. I have normie friends who think it's a coincidence that pro-Palestine anarchists disrupt bridge and airport traffic at the exact same time in Democrat-run cities nationwide, where they know they will likely not be prosecuted and may even sue the cities that do put them in cuffs and walk away with mad stacks. Now, before I go to the Pinkorama section in gray there, I do know that in San Francisco, when they just held up the Golden Gate Bridge, that the district attorney there, who is not that idiot that wasn't prosecuting anybody, she's actually looking for information about these people to be able to go ahead and do that. So good for her. That's upholding the law. So please go ahead and do that. So I just wanted to add that in there and say that, like, maybe there's tide turning. I mean, if it's tide turning in San Francisco against this, it probably will start turning in other places, but hopefully that's the case. This Pinkorama, at least 19 major American cities have been successfully sued for police brutality after law enforcement arrested Marxist street urchins who fought the cops, set fires, and took over portions of our towns in 2020. I call that a payoff. Meanwhile, the Capitol police officer who shot and killed the unarmed Ashley Babbitt was promoted. Yes, he was. And he has a history of not being able to secure his gun properly as well. He seems kind of trigger happy, but, why should that stop him from going? Basically, he's failing upward is what's happening. Just another person in this ridiculous administration. It's not a coincidence that hundreds of thousands of anti-Semitic goons are marching across the world. They are organized. They have their tentacles everywhere, and that includes the United States. I once foolishly thought humanity had evolved since the brutality of World War II era tyranny. As per the book Ordinary Men, Reserve Police Battalion 101 and the Final Solution in Poland, we know men can be persuaded to put bullets into the back of Jewish children's heads. I posit that today, recruiting offices for such heinous work would be overrun by volunteers willing to do it for likes on TikTok. Yeah, that's scary. I'm sure that's something that will end up happening if things keep going on the trajectory that they are currently on. So it says, Factorama, the Biden administration keeps the border open and sues Texas for laying barbed wire to keep the invaders out. Then it pretends it isn't empowering the millions of illegal marauders it feeds, houses, and clothes. It says, your purple-haired lusus naturae in law doesn't share your values. Xi thinks violently attacking peaceful Americans is warranted if they aren't communist comrades. You and I believe in liberty for all, even the dime museum freak shows who are too stupid to value it. Late-night TV punchinellos, that's a new word, cheer as Trump fights Stalin-like charges meant not only to put him in prison for the rest of his life, but to scare the next patriot who dares stand up for what is right. That would be you and me. And here is Stephen Colbert just being a political operative and a propagandist as opposed to an actual, late-night host. And Donald Trump couldn't be the KKK because what has happened with him to make you even, think that? Colbert is, again, nothing but a propagandist, and nobody should be watching him. This treasonous mutiny is at hand, brought to you by the traitorous miscreants we elected to steer the ship. Can we survive? Of course we can, but that window is closing. The first thing we must do is accept two terrifying realities. The communist threat to our nation is ongoing, and the call is coming from inside the house. The next thing to do is to stop hoping someone else saves our nation, roll up our sleeves, and get into the fight. Yeah, we can't rely on anybody else. It says, free speech is the communist nightmare. They hate that I can write this article and abhor the fact that you can read it, share it, wink wink, and discuss it with other patriotic Americans. Because then the word will spread, and before you know it, liberty lovers nationwide will wake up and stop the bullshies and their demonic cloven hoof tracks from enslaving us. And then there's just more, it's just a pandering, or I shouldn't say pandering, it's negative connotation there, but him just saying support us from these things. But yeah, I fully agree with this. I mean, the comment about the call is coming from inside the house, yeah, that's kind of what's happening right now with everything. And we need to fix it, and we need to fix it ASAP. Otherwise, the next generation is going to put us over the edge. And we're all going to be in a lot of trouble. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.